Hopefully.
Oh, here he is.
Oh,
here he is.
The man of the hour, right on time.
Yay.
I was thinking Mountain Time, Pacific Time. I thought, man, I'm not going to be up there for another hour. Hey, Steve. Wow. How are you guys doing?
We're good. How are you?
I'm fine. Wow. Sorry about that.
You're fine. You're fine. I said it's California time, you know.
Yeah. Oh, man. Terrible. I'll be right back. 1 second.
Okay.
It's California time and network marketing hours. No reason to get up early. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our weekly Zoom Crossline Culture Call. I'm Shannon Shine, Pro 6 here in the Denver area, and my fabulous co-moderator, Patti Goolsby, also Pro 6 in the Denver area. And we are so excited to bring you this call every week. It's been 3.5 years, going on 4 years that we're doing this culture call. And 2 quotes that we share each week. A culture is strong when people work with each other, for each other, and a culture is weak when people work against each other for themselves. And the second one, culture eats strategy for breakfast every time. I'm going to toss it to Patti so she can introduce our speaker for today. Patti.
Thank you, Shannon. Oh my gosh. So one of the reasons we have modeled this call every Friday is because of Stu Brodie and Carrie Dickey. Every single Monday at 10 a.m. they have done a call, and it has just brought so many groups together, and we've been guests on the call, and we're just honored this morning that Stu is joining us. But I want to share why we asked Stu to come on today. Stu is a network marketing professional. He has been in the industry for many, many years. He can tell you exactly how many. He's a former regional bank VP. And the thing that I knew about Stu the very first time I heard him is he said you have to create multiple streams of income. He has lived on residual income and had residual income from network marketing for a very long time. The reason we asked him on this call is because he's been doing their call every Monday straight 9 years, and he's still attending events and has never stopped. And for that, we commend Stu Brodie, and we are just honored that he joined us this morning. So Stu, please share with us your story.
Patti, thank you. I'm a little bit moved. Hey, you know, I wake up really, really early every morning, like about 4:30, and I go to the gym. And I wasn't late this morning. I actually left a little bit early, but I was thinking this call was like 9 o'clock Pacific. And all of a sudden I got this text and it said, hey, we're on. And I go, ah! So I went crazy. Anyway, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me. You know, I think I'd start off by saying I'm just like you guys. There's no difference between you and me. Nothing. I mean, you know, maybe I've been in network marketing a little bit longer. Maybe for some of you, maybe not. It makes no difference. I probably took a lot of bullets. But I think, you know, who we are and what we do is all about our, you know, our environment and the people that we surround ourselves with and things like that. So I'm going to kind of make this brief. Because really it's not really about me. It's what I can do to help you, you know, accomplish your goals and maybe break down some barriers and get to where you want to be. So I'll just tell you that there were a number of events in my life that really created, I guess, who I am. And this is going to sound maybe a little weird, and I shouldn't even be saying this because I know that it's being recorded. And I've probably never said this on a call before, but so you guys are going to be the first to hear this. I'm going to be 70 years old in a couple months, I guess, just a couple months. And I shouldn't probably even be here today because my mom was using contraceptives and I was born. So I've got this fierce need to succeed under any circumstances. So that's how my life started, just to cut to the chase. When I was really, really young, my mom and dad, we were, you know, very poor. I didn't feel like we were poor, but my mom was baking a lot of cakes and cookies and selling them. My mom and dad, I remember waking up and delivering newspapers very, very early in the morning. My dad had a couple jobs. So, I mean, I was brought up in an environment where, you know, you worked and you worked hard. So that's probably the first thing is that work ethic. And as I want to relate that to you and to our business, you want to look for people and find people that are willing to work. right? And willing to work hard. And they're out there. Some people are very unhappy. I'm going to kind of get off the subject here, and I hope I don't really get off too much because I don't know if I'll get back on the rails. But you take a look at people, and I'm no different than anybody else. I started out in a career in law enforcement because when my dad died, I was 14 years old, and I went crazy and sideways. And this guy that was my best friend, his dad was a lieutenant on the LAPD, kind of raised me. And I felt like, wow, if I can help people, that would be awesome. So his impression on me and the role model, I wanted to be a cop, but I was too short. So I did everything I could to get taller because at that time you had to be 5'8", and I'm only 5'6". So I used to hang from door jambs with a neck brace, sort of like a traction thing, to stretch out. And I just figured, me, 2 inches isn't that much. I can do it. I did a lot of stupid things, but it didn't work, but they did lower their height requirements eventually, and I eventually got hired, and I was a cop for 5 years. What I found is that you really don't help people. You're always there after somebody's life's destroyed, and you're taking a report. And I mean, it's just horrible. And I just didn't want to do that anymore. I really wanted to help people. I've always wanted to help people my whole life. So my career in selling really started out because my mom joined the City of Hope. And they gave her a whole box of stuff to sell to friends and family and door to door. And my mom wasn't the kind of person that, was really, really great at selling. So I said, give me the box. And I went around the neighborhood and I sold everything. And that was probably the first great success that I had in selling stuff. And I was probably about 7 or 8 years old. So I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but I'm going to try to, bring it all back and make this something that you can use, hopefully, and get something out of it. So fast forward, I get out of, law enforcement. I opened up a real estate company at the worst possible time in the world. We had about 34 salespeople. And what I found out in owning your own business, and I'm going to talk about this because it's really important about careers and where people go and what are the choices that they have and what happens when they have all kinds of responsibilities. They have a limited number of choices. So what happened with me is that I found, instead of me owning a business, which I felt really excited about and empowered at about 30 years old, the business really owned me. In fact, the first person that got paid, I had a bunch of partners. The first person that got paid was the federal government. I had to pay taxes, right? If I didn't pay my landlord, we got booted out. So I had to pay my landlord, had to pay my employees. I had a property manager. I had a manager that managed the salespeople, had to pay them or else they'd leave. And then I had to pay the commissions to the salespeople because if I didn't pay them, they wouldn't be there, right? So I was always the last person to get paid. And you got E&O insurance and you got, utilities and all kinds of other junk that goes on in owning a business, lawsuits, whatever. So what happens is you get trapped. And that's really my point and the thing that I really want to drive home to you. What was I going to do out of law enforcement? Well, something I did before I got into law enforcement was real estate. So that's what I fell back on, right? I got my bachelor's degree in what? Criminal Justice Administration. Because why? Because I was a cop, right? And I got a pay raise because of that. Well, what are you going to do with the Criminal Justice Administration? So I ended up selling the real estate office after about 5 or 6 years. And I got into mortgage lending. And I really, really flew with mortgage lending. Interest rates were just coming off an all-time high. I became a branch manager. I recruited my own staff. It was really exciting. And then I got a call from a bank one day and they said, we're looking for somebody. And I said, yeah, right, whatever. And I didn't really believe that I was qualified anyway because it was running a wholesale mortgage division. And I said, what the heck, I'll go and interview. And I got the job. And I was making about $300,000 a year. I thought I had the world by the tail and I ended up getting laid off. Once again, a juncture. What am I going to do? How am I going to make that kind of money? So I'm just referring to, and I'm trying to elaborate on the fact that we choose a career, we choose a career path, we end up getting married, having a mortgage. If we buy a house, we end up having car payments. Maybe our wife has to work, maybe she doesn't. Whatever the case is, we have kids, and guess what? We're strapped, we're stuck, and all of a sudden you get a boss that you hate, and you're stuck. What are you going to do? Where are you going to go? And what network marketing offers everybody is the opportunity to get into a level playing field if you're with the right company at the right time with the right product and all those success factors, and get on the tracks. And all you have to do is run. And what do you have to do? You just have to contact people. We have the easiest system in the world. you just show an ABC, zip the lip and show the clip. I think that's what Mark said a long time ago, and I never forgot that, Just you talk less and you show more. And all you're doing is looking for a person that says, hey, wow, hey, that's something I might be interested in. Oh, yeah, well, where would you like to go next? What would you be interested in seeing? So, it's just one step at a time. But again, I'm kind of jumping all over the place because I really want to make the analogy and bring it back to, what success is all about and how you can make it. There's a lot of companies out there. That some people left our company to go to some other companies like World, out of business. Another company called World, it's out of business. I've been around here for 30 years in this business, and I can tell you, I've been with companies that went out of business. There's so many companies, that don't make it past 3 years, let alone 5 years. So that's key number one. You don't want to get in too early. The other thing is, you want a Me Too company, that just has a Me Too product, shoe polish, soap, environmentally safe laundry detergent. You can get that at Target and Walmart and Costco and anywhere. What's so glamorous about that? And they say, well, you just, change your store to your own store. Well, yeah, that's all good and fine, but, it's crazy and most people don't make it. So getting back to the point here, I lost my job. My wife was actually looking in the paper, which I never looked in the paper for a job, and she saw an ad under real estate, and it was kind of in-your-face ad. It's like, you sicken the lying buyers, the sellers who want to do it themselves, and the bankers who don't perform, or mortgage lenders that don't perform. And my wife went, woo, that's kind of in your face. And she told me about it. I said, yeah, whatever. And then a couple of days later, I saw it again, and I decided to call. It said 24-hour recorded message. So I said, whatever. I don't have to talk to anybody. I'll listen. And all of a sudden, this guy said, not only is $65,000 a lot of money, it's $800,000 a year, blah, 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 blah. And he went on and on and on. And at the end, he said, hey, if you have the courage to call, leave your name and number. And I left my name and number. And I'll be darned, he called me back. And I set an appointment, and I was just laying off 19 people at the bank, which was really a tough time. But I was running out the door, and I grabbed 3 rolled tacos with some guacamole, got to his house. I was late, habitually late, almost like this morning. I guess I was 1 minute early. And he opens the door, and there's 7 people there. They're all real estate people because it's a real estate related ad. I knew them, most of them. And I'm walking in there, and I'm, oh my gosh, my tail between my legs. I'm so embarrassed. I kind of went, wow, what is this? I thought I was I thought I was going for a one-on-one interview. Had to sit at the far side of the room, and he started in with this hair regrowth product. And I always like to show people how well it worked. But anyway, bottom line is, and I always wear a hat because my head gets cold, whatever. But the bottom line is that I couldn't wait to get out of there. And I whenever I get in really, really uncomfortable situations, which isn't good in law enforcement, is my intestinal area gets very disturbed. And I feel like I'm probably going to project something. But I couldn't leave. I was stuck. I didn't want to be rude. So make a long story short, he says, okay, first 5 people that get started, I'll work with them, blah, 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 everybody else. So, a big takeaway. I walk out the door. He gives me some papers and an audio cassette. I throw it in my glove compartment, never to look at it again. So 3 weeks later, my job's over. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I visited some really, really close friends of ours, or we did, my wife and I, with our kids up in San Francisco Bay Area. It was like Redwood City. Anyway, we're heading up there, and we're on Highway 1. It's 9:30 at night. It's dark. Hairpin turns on Highway 1. You can't take your head off the road. Carla's going to sleep. The kids are already nodded off, and no radio waves. You're up in the mountains. So I reach in the glove compartment. Guess what? I thought I pulled out the Beatles or some music, and it turned out to be this tape by Mark Yarnell. And here is the key point. And that's why you always want to leave somebody with something so that they can listen, watch, whatever, whether it be, a link to a YouTube. You want to drip on them because you never know when that timing's right. And here's Mark Yarnell went into Hair International News and all this bull, and I'm entertained, I'm laughing. But what he did say at the end is, if I was to put you on a bus and drive you out to an Arabian horse ranch, and you were to shovel manure for 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, and at the end of the first month, I'm going to pay you $400. At the end of the second month, I'm going to pay you $700. At the end of the third month, I'm going to pay you $1,000. At the end of your 4th month, because I was in New Skin and there was a 4-month qualifying period to get to this executive, which would be like a Pro 4 or Pro 5 here, I'll pay you $15,000 a month for the rest of your life. You never have to shovel manure again when you get on the bus. And I'm going, woohoo! Man, would I get on that bus? Are you kidding me? And so I get up to our friend's house. We're on Stanford University campus, and I plugged in this audio cassette tape, and I said, hey, Jerry, you got to listen to this. He listened to it, and when it was done, he said, if you're in, I'm in. It's kind of funny how my life goes like that, because when I showed Carrie, the ABC, she goes, okay, Stewie, we got to get in. And I'm going, I just want to use the product, Carrie. I really don't want to build another one of these. And she goes, come on, Stewie. I'm going, oh, please, you're not even going to do this. She goes, come on. So she really had to drag me in, and I was kicking and screaming, and I wasn't even going to do the business. I was having severe back pains. I had arthritis in my back, and I was just looking for a homeopathic solution. I tried all kinds of stuff. I tried Monavie. I tried something called Limu. I mean, I tried everything I could find. But here's the bottom line. I was convinced that this might help me. And they talked about heart disease. My dad died of a heart attack. My mom died of cancer. I'm going, wow. Everything, all the whistles and bells kind of, hit. And to the point, we ended up getting in, and I wasn't going to do it. I was just going to use the product. My daughter calls me and says, hey, Dad. She actually said Daddy. And whenever she says Daddy, I know there's trouble. She says, they were giving away, if you enrolled 5 people, and we got enrolled on June 19th. So we only had about 11 days to the end of the month. And the thing was, if you enrolled 5 people, they'd give you an iPad. So she says, Daddy, I'd sure like to get that iPad. And I said, well, Aaron, if you want it, you're a distributor. You can absolutely go out and earn it. And that's typically what I always say. When somebody says, Stu, will you? I always usually say no. And then I think about it and I go, yeah, I'll do it. So, because I guess I need to think about it, because I got ADD and I got dyslexia and all kinds of stuff. In fact, my Carla gets me writing checks sometimes. She goes, honey, yeah, you reversed a couple numbers there. And I go, oh my God. And I've done it. I mean, I put checks in wrong envelopes. I mean, it's terrible, but you learn how to deal with it and live with it, whatever. So anyway, I got off the phone and I put the receiver down, and I said, you know what? You can do this. I mean, this is really simple, And I got on the phone and I started calling people. And I've got a pretty big database, because when I was in New Skin, I was running ads all the time. I just followed what my sponsor did. And I didn't know anything. I mean, the first call I made, I was shaking. I had perspiration running down my arms. I mean, I was just frantic. It was really weird. But once you keep doing it, and you keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it, it just becomes easier and easier. And the negative stuff just slides off your back like water on a duck's back. It's when you stop is when you start having a problem. If you stop for a day or two by talking to people, it's not any big deal. Nobody knows. But when a week goes by, it gets a little testy. 2-3 weeks go by, it gets worse. A month, 2 months go by, you'll probably never, ever recruit or talk to anybody again unless you can break through those barriers. I don't know what happens in the human mind. So the moral of the story is, don't stop until you get where you want to be, right? That's really the key. So anyway, I mean, that's how I got involved in LifeVantage. Now, why did I get involved in LifeVantage? Well, because of the product. And while other teams, and I'm not knocking any other teams, when I was in New Skin from my very early beginnings, I was really, really a good student. And I followed the guy. I didn't do anything for 3 weeks, and he called me up. His name is Mark Barrett, and he said, hey, Stu, he left a message. Looks like you've fallen into the black hole of network marketing. When you decide to come up for a breath of fresh air, give me a call. And I took that as a challenge again. And I called him. I said, okay, Mark, show me. Show me the money. Show me. And so he did. And I just got on the rails, and I just followed him. This is simple. Follow the leader, Simon says, do this, and just do it. And I did. And one thing led to another. And within about 18 months, I was earning $50,000 a month there. So, I mean, it all works. It's just a matter of going through the numbers until you find somebody that has a pulse and that's excited. Now it's a people game. Now you got to work with that person to get them, pregnant as soon as possible. You got to get them where they need to be. You got to find out what they want. You got to have somebody under them as soon as possible to help them feel, attached, and that they've got a responsibility. Now they got somebody that they need to work with, to help. I mean, it's not magic. It's really pretty simple. So anyway, I was scared to death, finally broke through and did it. So because of all the advertising that I've done for 30 years, I've got like a database of 10,000 people. Now, I got to tell you, a lot of those phone numbers are no good. A lot of those people are dead. Some of them moved away. But what I did is I picked up the phone and I said, hey, Patti, this is Stu Brodie. I don't know if you remember me or not, but you answered an ad that I ran in the paper out there. And you were interested in either residual income or working from home. Are you working on a project, or are you kind of open to looking at something? That was it. If they said, yeah, I'm kind of interested in looking at something, what do you got? Hey, you got 10 minutes? ABC investigative report, watch it and I'll give you a call back. That was the whole pitch. I'd get them to watch the video and then I'd call them back in 10 minutes. Because I think it's important, people start Googling and they start looking around, they start, floundering. You want to get back to them as soon as possible. And the only thing I said is, hey, did you see the 1-to-1? Did you see the 1 million to 1? What did you like best? And I'd go from there. And it would be, well, I'd like to see a study, or I'd like to see a patent, or I'd like to talk to somebody, or blah, blah, whatever it was, And you're like a traffic cop. You're just directing people to third-party, information, which we didn't have a lot of back then, but now we've got a ton. If somebody says no, you could drip on them for almost 2 years. You could drip on them for 2.5 years with just our studies, a study a month. That's it, a study a month. We're going to coin a new phrase here. So my thing is 2 a day, every day. Contact 2 people a day, every day. And a couple other people decide to get involved, and they contact 2 people a day, every day. And the geometric growth is absolutely unbelievable. I like to do, this little thing where if, you and a best friend got involved, there's one of you, and you bring in one of your best friends. Now there's 2, and you each go out and get 1 the next month. Now there's 4, and then 8, then 16, 32, 64. It's like a penny doubled every month, 128, 256, 512, 1,024, 2,048. And then in a year, you have 4,096 people in your group. Wow. If everybody's just doing $200 a month, and that's having 3 or 4 customers maybe right on a subscription, you're only buying a bottle of Procanum. We buy a lot more than that. My wife and I probably spend $300 or $400 a month. She has hair, so she loves our hair care product, and she loves the skincare product as well as I do. But anyway, that's a whole other, kettle of fish. The whole deal is here is that you want to take the product, obviously, because that builds your belief. But if you had 4,000 people doing $200 a month, it's over $800,000 a month, right? And if you just got paid one way, and that is just the unilevel, and it pays 4.77% if you divide it all out, let's just call it 5% to make it easy, that's $40,000 a month. That's $500,000 a year. Okay, if half the people drop out, it's $250,000 a year. If another half drops out, it's $125,000 a year. If another half drops out, it's $5,000 extra a month. How many people would love just $1,000 a month, let alone 5,000? That would get you a Lamborghini, a Mercedes, it'd pay a car payment, a house payment. It could change somebody's life dramatically. So the numbers work. You got to go through the numbers. You got to find the people that are excited and motivated and that want to do it. So the very first thing I look for is somebody that has a burning desire. And it could be somebody that lost a house, divorce, bankruptcy, changed jobs. It could be a million different things, but they're in transition. That's the first thing I look for. So a burning desire, a willingness to work, and they got to be coachable. I've had so many people come in and say, I'm going to do it my way, and they end up failing and dropping out. You can't talk somebody into this. You can't explain the ABC. You just got to show it. You got to put your ego aside and just play the game, make it simple, and you'll be rich. That's as simple as it gets. And I'm a perfect example, and so is Carrie Dickey, because that's all we did was just show the video. Show the video, show the video, show the video. And that was it. So, you have some questions?
Yes. I'm writing notes feverishly. We're getting text messages right and back, forth and back. Okay. So 10 years ago, we were a startup. You're like, don't get involved. Like it was rough, right? Today we're walking into next week, a 10-year anniversary. You've already created another vision upon vision. How do you walk into that event and how do you share today? Because we have so much, I think it paralyzes people.
Yeah. You got to keep it simple. And what a lot of people do, you're right, Patti, they try to feed them the whole load all at once, That's my calendar saying, that was my calendar saying, Patti Goolsby, 30 minutes. Yeah, well, I put the wrong time in there. That's for dang sure. See, you don't have to be perfect, and you don't have to be good, you know? I mean, things just kind of work out the way they're supposed to. You just got to let it happen. I will tell you this, that I'm probably more excited today, and you know, people are going to say that, and it's such BS. I mean, why am I excited? You know, we're on the Russell 3000. We just got on the Russell 3000. The stock is up. The company's doing great. We're expanding. You know, we're in other countries, which, you know, I don't do other countries, although I'm going to be in Canada right after EA, and I'm going to be doing meetings up there. But the point is that the opportunity is bigger than it's ever been. Why? Because there's so few people involved in our company. And I think we have so many customers, that just drives heavy volume. But that's the foundation that you're looking for, because there's so many other companies out there where you slip and slide and it's like you build it on sand and it falls apart. When one distributor quits, you might lose a whole line of people, you know. Whereas this, we have such a huge base. Even if a distributor quits, the customers typically stay. By the way, I really encourage everybody to get 5 to 10 customers. If you can get everybody to $500 to $1,000 a month, you could be a Pro 7 in 4 or 5 months. I mean, it's much, much easier when people have those big volumes. Let's say you have 10 or 15 people that are doing $1,000 a month, and it's all PCs, right? All preferred customers. It's like bringing in 10 or 15, you know, platinum packs every month. I mean, that's your base, and you can build from that the following month. So it's really, really critical to follow that and do that. But I'm more excited than I ever have, because we're just barely scratching the surface. You know, I've told Carrie on several occasions, she can't believe the kind of money that she's making. I can't believe the kind of money I'm making. But I said, Carrie, you're going to be making $400,000 to $500,000 a month. She goes, no. I said, Carrie, you're going to be making $400,000 to $500,000 a month. And I can't tell you how much she earns. She's not there yet, but she will be, because we're not even in momentum. We're not even there yet. You know, when we went into momentum in New Skin, my check went from like 10 or 12,000 to 50,000, like almost boom overnight, because there was just like a flash fire. And what you really want to do now is start building, because everybody has their kind of own momentum. So if you can throw a big enough net out there right now, that is, have enough people in your organization that when we do launch a new product, or when we do launch anything, your group is just going to be excited and explode. And that's why it's so important to get to Kansas City and be there. It builds your belief. I've only missed one corporate event. It's because I got stuck in Chicago at the last one in a snowstorm. I would never, ever miss a corporate event. I just don't miss corporate events. I mean, everybody needs to be charged up, and I need my batteries charged too, just like everybody else. But the key is that when you show up, your team will show up. And even if it's 1 or 2 or 3 people to begin with, like it was with us at the beginning, eventually there were hundreds, and then there were thousands. And that's really, really what you want to create. And if you don't do it, guess what? Your group's not going to do it. People don't do what you do. They do what you say. So it's really, really important to do all the right things and teach them all the right things. Follow-up is absolutely critical. We've got more tools than, you know, with Gag a Maggot. You just got to say, you know, don't give people everything all at once. You know, it's got to be little baby steps, because whatever you do, they're going to duplicate. So if you give them the whole load, guess what they're going to do? And they're going to blow people away. And people are already busy and stressed out. And, you know, so you got to make it really simple. I don't know. What else am I excited about? Well, the fact that, you know, we've got such an incredible culture here, like Patti and Shannon were talking about. I used to be with a company. Well, you know, I was with 10 other companies. New Skin, I built 2 companies where I got to, you know, at least $1 million or more after a while, a year. But I mean, that's no big deal. It really is not that big of a deal. I look back and I go, you know, I just had a lot of great people, and the way I found the great people is just sifting and sorting. You know, it's like you go into a coal mine and you find some diamonds, you know, but you got to go through pick up a lot of coal and throw it aside before you find a diamond. Sometimes you got to, you know, put it in a polishing machine once in a while, you know, but they're out there and they're coming in all the time. But the key is that we've got more products than we ever had. We only had 2 products, Protandim and anti-aging, the anti-aging cream. And I mean, our products are amazing, as you all know. So we've got more products, which give you more PV, gives you more opportunity to hit more vertical markets, right? Hair care, weight management, you know, health, energy drinks. I mean, you've got all these different, vertical markets. So there's a lot to be excited about, and we barely scratched the surface, and that's really, really, really the key. I mean, 200 million in like 10 countries. I mean, give me a break. I mean, it's just nowhere. You could walk out and talk to 1,000 people and say, do you know what NRF2 is? Do you know what oxidative stress is?
Stu, I love your straight talk. I love everything. I just love how you put it out there and you talk in pictures. I think that's fabulous for creating vision for people. I have to throw this out there. You did a pro audio series years ago when I first started, so probably 8 years ago. And you said, if someone is asking you questions and you start answering those questions, you've just lost. And it's because of your ego. And you're answering because now you know the questions, and that's your ego getting in the way. And let me tell you, and talk on this for just a second, because I know we're a little bit over. That was my kick in the pants, because that's exactly what I was doing. I was saying, oh my gosh, I know these answers now. I can answer that. And when you said, that's your ego, you've just ruined it for the other person. That was a wake-up call to me. Can you touch on that briefly?
Yeah, sure. What you want to do is you want to ask a question back, especially during the invite. Like if they say, well, can you tell me more? The answer is, in your brain, no, I can't tell them more, because what's going to happen, it's going to lead to another question and another question, or they're just going to make a decision right there and say no, because they don't have enough information, right? And they're going to duplicate that if they did get involved. You don't want to go down that road. It's a slippery slope. So the idea is, what is this about, Shannon? Well, what Shannon might say is, it's 90% visual. It would be like me trying to tell you how a text message is sent around the world or how a cell phone works. I can't do it. You got to see it for yourself. Come on, Shannon. This is Stu. You can tell me more. Well, Shannon might say, hey, Stu, I'd love to. But you know what? The bottom line is that, ABC did an investigative report. It's a 5-minute or 10-minute video, whatever you're going to say. That's how long it's going to take you. I can't tell you anything more. When can you watch it? That's the question. When can you watch it? Are you available now? How about 8 o'clock tonight? When can I get back to you? Always a question. You don't want to answer the question. If they get to a point where you call them and you're following up 1-to-1, 1,000,000-to-1, would you like best? And they say, well, you could answer a couple really simple questions. What you really want to do is say, hey, I've got this great friend, Shannon. She's really successful. This is her background. Hold on 1 second. I want to get her on the phone so you can ask her the question. She's not going to try to sell you. And I just put them on hold, call Shannon. And I've already texted Shannon and let her know. And maybe I did it with Patti and Steve as well and said, hey, I've got somebody that I'm going to be showing the ABC to. I'm not sure if a 3-way call is going to be imminent or not, but just be ready in case I need you. That way, you won't get a voicemail or something when you try to get, because you're going to need to get somebody on the phone for that person as quickly as possible. So that's a great question, Shannon. I mean, there's so many little tiny finite details, but you know what? You know your way to the top. KNOW and NO. I mean, by doing the activity and being perceptive. I mean, I used to get off the phone. I used to say, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? I remember this one guy, it was maybe I did 20 or 30 or 40 calls that day. And this one guy says, hey, Stu, if you can't tell me what it is and I got to want to watch a video, I'm not interested. So my brain is going back and forth. Should I tell him? Should I not? Should I tell him? Should I not? Should I tell him? And I finally said to myself, I can tell him. And I did. And I told him all about oxidative stress and blah, 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 blah. And you know what he said after 10 minutes? I'm not interested. And I thought, so I just wasted 10 minutes of my life. I probably did a crappy job. And, I should have said no from the beginning. Hey, I don't know what his name was, but I'm just going to call him Dick. Okay. Hey, Dick, when you're ready and you want to get started and you want a life, give me a call. Do a takeaway. I've got this guy on the hook that is huge. He's not a big networker, but he's huge in the financial industry. And he kept saying stuff to me yesterday, and I kept saying, his name wasn't Dick, but I kept saying, you don't want to do this, man. You're already worth $18 million. What are you going to do this for? And he'd say, no. He said, I've been involved in a couple network marketing companies. I've never been successful. I got to be successful. he said, what are you doing here? And I said, oh man, come on, you don't want to do this. Are you kidding me? And I just sent him a bunch of product yesterday. We'll see what happens. But again, I'm not attached. I'd love him to get in. I mean, he'd be incredible, but who knows? I don't know if he'll be incredible. I think he could be. He knows a lot of people. But anyway, I'm just rambling on. I'll just tell you that, dang it, anybody can do this. You just got to find a way to get to the masses. And whether that's social media, it's like fishing. Think about fishing. Different fish like different bait. You can't use the same bait on every hook. So some people might want the money. Some people might want the freedom. Some people might want to be with their family. Some people might want to recreate more. Who knows what they want? Unless you ask, you don't know, What's lacking in your life? What would you love to do if you had unlimited time and money? What would you do? Those are great questions that you could ask somebody. Hey, I've got something you may be interested in. I don't know if you're going to be interested, because if I tell you, hey, Steve, you will be interested in this, you're going to say, how do you know what I'm interested in? You just got to, hey, I may have something that you may like, I don't know. What is it? Well, I wish I could tell you, but it's like, trying to describe how a cell phone works or a text message. You can't do it, It's the same thing over and over again. It's just like if you had a job on an assembly plant or any job, it's, just doing the same activities over and over and over again. Anyway, I know you guys, I know we're over. When I get talking, I just go crazy.
We could go on and on and on, because I'm sitting here. I've read, the Mark Yarnell and Mark Bear, and you've worked with the legends. And we've got people hopping on right now, a lot of elites, and there'll be a lot of replays on this, because you've worked with the legend. You are a legend. And no, you really are.
I doubt that.
No, I mean, 9-10 years later, you're here and you're pouring into us. There's people on here. None of them are on your team. That says so much about you, and we're grateful.
Well, hey, I thank you for asking me, Patti. And the bottom line is, I just want to leave you with this. I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart. I mean, I talk with conviction. I talk fast because I know what I want. I think I know what I want to say. You got to get to that point where you just feel comfortable in your own skin and you can talk to people. And that's really, really the key, is communication. I'm just glad that you had me on, and I hope I helped. And look, at anybody can do this, you guys. It's practice makes perfect, perfect practice. Keep going over and over and over and over and keep doing it. And eventually, you will succeed. There's no question about it, because you're going to run into a Carrie Dickey, or you're going to run into a Patti or a Shannon or a Steve or a million other people out there, a Seth Campbell, whatever. And they're going to see that ABC and they're going to go, wow, I'm in. And, you won't have any control. They'll just take off, and that'll be that. But you got to find them.
This was awesome. Thank you so much, Stu, for your time this morning. We're so excited to, maybe bump into you at Lillian Academy, but absolutely for everybody.
Don't hurt me if you bump into me. Just be kind. I'm old. I'm fragile.
Thank you so much for today.
Have a great week. Thank you so much.
See everybody next week in Kansas.
Bye-bye now. See you in a couple days. Bye-bye now.
Thank you, Stu. Bye-bye, everybody.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.